Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, very good morning to everyone present here. I, Shivani Prajapati, student from Anand Law College, heartily welcome you all in this National E-Seminar on COVID-19. As we all know, presently, the entire world is facing the serious challenge of COVID-19 pandemic. Millions of people have been affected by the virus and died. At the same time, millions of people have lost their jobs during the pandemic. Considering the present situation, we Law College and Anand College of Legal Studies have jointly organized this national e-seminar entitled COVID-19 Impact on Employment and Labor. It is rightly said, prayer is the key that unlocks all the doors. So, we will also start our seminar with remembering Almighty God. Thank you, Mr. Kamalbhai Parekh, for the prayer. Now, as per the tradition of our Mandal, I request all of you to rise in honor of our Sri Ramakrishna Seva Mandal song. मेरा आप सभी से अनुरोध है कि सब अपनी अपनी जगह पे खड़े हो जाइए. Thank you, Mr. Kamalbhai Parekh, for the Sri Ramakrishna Seva Mandal song. Now, I would like to request Dr. Amit Kumar Parmar, Sir, Principal, Anand Law College, to welcome and introduce our today's guest.
Amit sir, audio muted છે sir તમારા. Sir, you have to unmute.
Okay. Uh, Good morning to all. Greetings to one and all. It's give me immense warm and great pleasure to grace all of your presence in the interest of the entire event. It gives me tremendous contentment to be presenting the welcome speech amongst the most esteemed personalities. Today's Anand Law College and Anand College of Legal Study, managed by Sri Ramakrishna, jointly organized a seminar on COVID-19 impact on employment and labor. Today also a World Social Justice Days killing the IM some introduction. Okay, first of all, I would like to heartily welcome our today's e-national seminar chief guest, Mr. Akil Gursai sir, and guest of honor, Mr. Sailendra Sharma sir. I welcome to our Sri Ramakrishna Seva Mandal President Sri Hemanbhai J. Patel sir, well-known advocate and past a Bar Council of India President. I welcome also to our honorary secretary, our guided and supported Srimati Josnaben Patel ma'am. I would like to welcome in charge principal of Anand Legal Study, Rekha Kumari Singh, and I welcome to all SRKSM family members, dignitaries, and participation invited guests who joined in this seminar. Very welcome. I give some introduction to our chief guest and guest of honor. Feeling very privileged by introducing to our today chief guest, Mr. Akil Usrai sir, has distinguished experience in human resource, working with the blue chip companies like Unilever, Motorola, Shell, and IBM. And see, he is someone who can say in they're done that to most HR situation. Said Economics Time describing Mr. Busrai recently, sir. And rightly, so considering his professional profile, Akil Busrai sir graduated in commerce with a distinction. He obtained his MBA degree from Xavier's Labor Relations Institute, where he was awarded the J.M. Kumarappa Gold Medal for ranking first. He later passed LLB and Advanced Diploma in Training and Development. Now I am expressing my heartful gratitude by introducing our guest of honor, Mr. Sailendra Sharma. Sir has 22 years experience and HR professional with exposure to various segments of industries including engineering, heavy machinery, precision chemistry, pharmaceuticals, sterilites, automobiles, and FMGS. My heartful gratitude to all present here for taking it and part in this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anand.
Shivani, you're muted.
I would like to elaborate our chief guest introduction. Dr. Akil Busrai sir has 48 plus years of experience in industry. He has worked in various HR roles with Unilever in Kenya and India and was Executive Director HR Motorola for Asia Pacific countries. He worked with Shell Malaysia as Director Human Resources, Shell Malaysia and Managing Director of Shell People Service Asia Syndicate. His last corporate assignment was with IBM India Limited as Executive Director Human Resources. He is currently CEO of Equal Butrais Consulting. Dr. Butrai has been actively associated with management movement in India, having been the president of Delhi Management Association, vice chairman for All India Management Association's Northern Region. He is on the National Council of CII, Indian Society for Training and Development, and SHRM, and on board on several education institutes and corporates. Sir has been awarded with Pathfinder Award by National HRD Network for being selected as Outstanding Seasoned HR Professional. He was bestowed Lifetime Achievement Award by National HRD Network at its 2012 National Convention and at Top Rankers Meet in Kuala Lumpur in 2015 and by ZTV in 2020. In November 2015, Sir has been honored with Distinct Alumnus Lifetime Achievement Award. In 2018, Sir has been admitted among the most powerful HR professionals in India at the Asia Pacific HRM Summit in Tokyo. He was awarded with Glory of HR India Award by HR Success Talk in 2020. Speaking about today's guest of honor, Mr. Shailendra Sharma, as Sir is Amit Saraswati, Sir has a vast experience of 23 years in human resource management with blend of industrial relationship containing 10 years in senior management level. Sir's area of expertise are strategic at HR analytics, talent acquisition and employer branding, reward and recognition, performance management system and competency mapping, employee engagement relation welfare, budgeting cost and personal, talking about industrial relation, execution of settlement with unions, work committee, grievance handling committee, disciplinary action. Sir's professional lawyer experience in Rajasthan High Court from September 1993 to September 1995 dealt with civil and criminal cases, consumer protection, NDPS, and NIS. Sir has an exposure to tribunals and high court matters, including NCLT and MSC. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Rekha Kumari Singh Jain, in-charge Dean, Faculty of Law, Sardar Patel University, and in-charge Principal, Anand College of Legal Studies, to share the objective of the seminar.
Thank you, Shivangi. Thank you so much. Respected esteemed dignitaries of today's inaugural function, Mr. Akhil Busray, sir, CEO Akhil Busray Consulting Advisory Board, Gurgaon, New Delhi, Mr. Shailendra Mohan Sharma, sir, Head of Human Resources, Laboratories Limited, Vadodara, Gujarat, Mr. Hemant Bhai Patel, President, Sri Ramakrishna Seva Mandal, Srimati Josna Ben K. Patel, Honorary Secretary, Sri Ramakrishna Seva Mandal, Dr. Amit Kumar Parmar, sir, Principal, Anand Law College, Anand, and Principals and Directors of Sister Institutes, faculty members, and my dear students. I welcome you all on this online national seminar on COVID-19 impact on employment and labor. And I'm very much delighted to share the objectives of today's webinar. As we know, the impact of lockdown has turned out to be immense due to the entire world is facing with the challenge of pandemic COVID-19. More than 8 crores of people were affected by the virus and number of people were died because of this virus, which has affected their life badly. Since economic activities have come to the standstill and the factories are not running, establishments are closed, and most of the markets are shut in different cities and states because of their geographical situation, which the government has laid down as per the guidelines from time to time. And we observe that there is a disruption in work, wages, income, food. All three things are interconnected for crores of people in India. If we talk about the workers, about 90% of workers in India work in the informal economy, that is a part of economic which drives the daily work, daily cash, with a little provision of employment protection. The lockdown has exposed millions of workers and their families to starvation, hunger, death, and very bleak future prospects. With this note, we are conducting this seminar to understand, to solve the problems of work ban relating to their wages, the basic requirements, to come up with the analysis economic condition of India during COVID-19 and post COVID-19. As well as we are trying to understand and study the effectiveness and enforceability of various labor laws during this pandemic, which was issued by the government from time to time. And lastly, that we are trying to come up with the strong suggestions and recommendations which will help the government to make sound policy for the problem which is faced by the workmen. So with this mentioned aim and objective, number of research scholars, faculty members and students, they are going to present a research paper on this theme as well as related to sub-themes of the seminar. And I'm proud to share that A total 162 delegates are registered from different institutes, and more than 42 researcher paper is going to be presented. And we are also delighted that we are coming with the publication of all these research papers, which will be submitted to the Law Commission and Gujarat government on different aspects of post-COVID effect on employment and labor. With this note, I again welcome all the delegates in the seminar and believe that today's brainstorming session will definitely help to contribute in the development of the society. So welcome you all once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing objectives of the seminar. Now, I would like to request Srimati Josna Ben Patel Madam, Honorary Secretary of Sri Ramakrishna Seva Mandal, to shower her blessing on us.
Respected dignitaries, invited guests, and all the delegates who are viewing us on Google Meet platform. Very good morning to one and all. I welcome Chief Guest to Mr. Akil Busrai and Guest Speaker Mr. Shailendra Sharma. I welcome our SRKSM President Sri Hemanbhai Patel and Principal of Anand Law College and Anand College of Legal Studies with faculty members and dear participants. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to welcome you all today for inaugural function of National E-Seminar entitled COVID-19 Impact on Employment and Labor. We can understand the effectiveness and enforceability of various labor laws during pandemics. I congratulate both institutes for organizing this national e-seminar, which will be very helpful for overall development of the society. The economic and labor crisis created by COVID-19 pandemic has increased global unemployment by almost 25 million, according to a new assessment of by International Labour Organization (ILO). I heartily welcome and thank all the eminent dignitaries for sparing time out of their busy schedule to grace the inaugural function. I appreciate the efforts of Dr. Amit Bhai and Dr. Usha Kumari for their continuous guidance and inspiration. Also, thanks to Heman Bhai Patel for his positive attitude and giving new ideas for all our activities. Lastly, I wish a great success for today's event. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, madam, for your blissful words. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Akil Gusrai, the chief guest of inauguration session of today's seminar, to grace the occasion with his valuable words.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Amit Bhai, Jyoti Ben, Dr. Rekha, Shailender, and my fellow professionals and also respected faculty members. Thank you for inviting me. I wish I was able to travel physically to Gujarat, one of my favorite places because traditionally hail from Surat. So this is a good occasion to connect with people from my part of the world. Uh, this seminar today could not have come at a better time when the cusp of COVID is just about coming on the horizon. So I would like to I've been given 20 minutes, I'll finish it in about 18. Uh, I would like to take this in two parts. Pre COVID, what was the scenario in terms of employment and especially pertaining to the legal community? If you look at traditionally post independence, there has been a high emphasis on guaranteeing employment as a culture. Jobs were in short supply, income was low, large families, joint families were norms, not nuclear family as of today. As a result, retaining a job was very critical, and that's how a lot of PSUs became very popular hunting ground for job seekers because if not big salaries like multinational, at least it guaranteed employment. That was the driving force. And I think we must recognize our social ethos and also the grains in which our mind works. that employment security is an inherent part of our culture, at least in last 5, 6 decades that we have seen post-independence. It is changing, no doubt, but I'll not go into that part. So the historical perspective has been employment is guaranteed. Second, employment was in short supply. And during the COVID, particularly, the employment numbers fell dramatically. I'm not getting into debates about whether numbers were large or small in which state, but particularly medium sector and small sector were more hit because there was no income as such to sustain labor force. I'm not saying that big companies were not hit, they were hit, but the ability to sustain for smaller companies and medium-sized companies became more challenging. As a result, there has been a sharp decline in employment number itself, and that's why the migration back to the villages where the cost of living is low, joint families, food, etc., food, shelter, basic needs are taken care of in the villages and homes of their own. As a result, the employment population has shifted, and this will have different repercussions coming down. I'm just painting the scenario pre-COVID. Now, as industry takes time to recover, we have to recognize one reality, and especially when I'm talking to legal experts and future legal practitioners, that there have been shortcuts taken by employers, taking refuge behind, for example, a typical law of contract labor act. Um, it defines very clearly where contract labor can be used, perennial job, all those fancy definitions, but those are statute in books, not in spirit. And the law enforcing authorities, less said the better in terms of how they are enforcing the law on paper. There have been cases where contract labor have been used and continue to be used on production lines. One major auto industry about 6 years, 7 years ago went through a major industrial relations strife, including death of their HR manager. The root cause was misusing contract labor, and it's a rampant practice. Why am I going into these details about contract labor? Because the law community has a responsibility, has an onus to ensure that laws are just not framed as an academic interest, that they are framed and enforced, and they have knowledge, expertise, and insights into commenting upon and championing the cause of upholding law. As a result of this background, when the COVID came, it got exaggerated. Employment fell down, numbers went down, industries closed, and they could not sustain the labor force on the payroll for prolonged period. As a result, now that the
સોરી ટુ ડિસ્ટર્બ મેડમ તમારા મ્યુટ આઈ થિંક અનમ્યુટ થઈ ગયા છે બાય મિસ્ટેક આઈ થિંક કમ્પ્યુટરમાં કઈ પ્રોબ્લેમ સોરી સર ટુ ઇન્ટરવેન સોરી સર
so now looking at today's scenario, we are at a point where we are at a point where there are situations where labor is needed but not affordable. Now, that demand supply is a different issue, but with this community today, with the professionals present on the call, especially the experienced ones, and Shailendra, you can add as you go along whether you agree with these views. Now, going forward, there'll be a major shift in the way industry works. Major shift. And my prediction is that willy-nilly, out of sheer necessity, there'll be one mantra in industry: more for less. No dispute on the fact that industry will look at recouping the lost business almost for a year, gain market share, get back into the books into order, and get back business on its feet. Now, that will demand that cost reduction will become a prime factor in running industry going forward. It was always there, but now it will get heightened. Now, when this gets heightened, there will be repercussion on, first repercussion will be on the labor. And that's why I like this idea when Rekha mentioned about the subject matter, It gives people like us, professionals like us, to introspect and also think as to how will we behave. Forget all the professionals that we're talking about, forget law enforcing authority. It's easy to blame everybody except yourself. But what is our responsibility as professionals, as people who run the industry? The other change because of this more for less is going to be the composition of labor force itself. We heard of gig workforce long time. We thought it'll never come to our context, our culture, our industry. It is already happening. Now, gig workers and the contract labor is a very thin line between the two. What is the difference? I'll not go into definition, but at the same time, the bottom line is that even the new code allows fixed time employment. Now, this is a major shift from ensuring long-term employment to short-term approved, legally approved and authenticated way of just dealing with people for a short period of time. So where are we going? We are going away from the initial cultural base on which we worked all these for decades of guaranteed employment. Nothing wrong with that. A lot of countries have gone through this, and it is a necessity of running a business. If you don't need something, you just don't need it and you reduce it. It's like running a household budget. But if this is done in a way which is both compliant and compassionate, so I'll use the word for legal profession, two words, that compliance cannot be done without compassion. And compassion doesn't mean sympathy or soft approach. Compassion means being fair, being equitable, and ensuring that natural justice is never taken out of our agenda. As a result of this, especially with the code coming in, the new labor code coming in, the atmosphere of labor employment will definitely change to very short term, contractual, transactional type, and that will put pressure as to how much of exploitation will take place because of this. Will it give charter to employers to now say we've got a little cover of law behind us and we can get FTE done and forget permanent employment? I'm not here to advocate permanent employment, but at the same time, using FTE, contract labor, gig, etc., only to save costs is not going to be in the interest of labor. And who better than legal community and the lawyers and the people, professionals similar to the ones on the call today, to blow the whistle? The job of legal professional should be that of a guardian, not only policemen, not only enforcers, not only dispute resolvers. How many of legal professionals will stand up and take proactive stand against something that can happen or is already happening and speak against it? I'm glad that I heard at the introduction that some students are doing research. Uh, I would strongly encourage these students to do research at the grassroots level in industry. And if people like us can be of any small help, we'll walk an extra mile to help you. Do some research which is practical in nature of what is really happening at the industry level, at the grassroots level. Not what you read in fancy books, not what you hear many times in seminars. Go down and feel the pulse of the people and see where the pain points are, where law is being, with one eye shut, being followed or being ignored. Now, this sounds more like a theoretical lecture and gyan. Not so. I've spent 48 years in industry, and I realized that some of the companies have high ethics, and I was fortunate to work with four of them: Unilever, Motorola, Shell, IBM, where we ensured that compliance was to the letter and the spirit. Internal controls, internal audits, checks and balances ensured that. How many of the youngsters today actually learn in colleges or in institutions what are these checks and balances at industry level? And that is why some project which is directly connected with industry would be highly useful. Post-COVID, I see one major change happening is that the influence of trade unions will reduce, in my opinion. because technology is coming in very rapidly. Multiple jobs will be expected from the same organization. Boxes that we see, very neat boxes in organization chart, will disappear, in my opinion. And when they disappear, three jobs will be done by two people. And that's what I call a fluid organization, fluid job structure, which means there'll be a lot of reskilling and retaining required. And this won't be just a theoretical calendar of training activities and events, but it'll be actually imparted to people to be equipped to do extra jobs or some other jobs outside their familiar grounds. As a result of all this, dependence on protecting employment will shift from going to unions to retain your right for employment to getting skills to retain your job. It's a major shift. The bargaining power of unions will certainly be reduced, in my opinion, because people say, might as well get trained and retain my job and do some work rather than just have this bargaining power as my only umbrella. Now, as a result of that, the downside is that some employers will take liberty because the checks and balances have been upset. Trade unions today do a great job of maintaining balance, that the employers don't go overboard in, if I can use the crude word, exploiting labor force. They are required. There must be a counterbalance to make sure that vested interests do not get an upper hand. And now, if that body of people who are our conscience keeper or people who point out certain irregularities or exploitation become weak themselves, then it's a field day for many employers. And I'm not talking about all employers. Please don't misunderstand that all employers are dishonest. I'm talking about handful, if not large number, but of course large number also. But as a result of this technology invasion coming in, and I call it invasion because it's in a positive way. A lot of changes are happening. Robotics, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and a lot of things we're already seeing in industry that is replacing human labor with automated way of working. Very good move in the right direction, I feel. Very strongly, I feel is the right direction. But that does not necessarily mean we reduce numbers. It does not necessarily mean that we take shortcuts in employing contract labor, underpaying them or not paying them, and making a situation where we to get work out without paying fair wages. Now, these words are becoming fancy to talk at webinars and seminars, but I feel that the conscience of the employer must be kept awake. And there's nobody better than the legal community that is present on a call like this today, and college like Anand can do a stellar job in that area. And I'm not just praising because you invited me, sir. And Amit bhai, maybe you would like to have a look at how you can, your college, your institution, your students and faculty can become a voice to raise some of these issues proactively with the industry and provide solutions how it can be avoided. It can be avoided. It's not that you run an industry only on shortcuts, but as a result of this shifting that is happening, the labor is going to be at high risk, at least for time being. No denying the fact. And if the risk is mitigated by fairness, that is enough situation for reviving the industry and for protecting the interests of the working class. Now, the legal community has to look at building that confidence that there is somebody to go to, not only for litigation, but somebody who can hear, who can make others hear. And I think the role that you can, not I think, I'm absolutely convinced that the role that a legal department can play in ensuring this is going to be very big contributor to ensure equity and fair play in industry, protecting both the interests of the labor and the interests of the employer. It's not one against the other. We should not be looking at we versus you. And legal should not become a referee between employer and labor. This is not their role. They should be balancing the two to say that both are acting fairly. We have seen reduction in industrial strife. Lockouts, strikes have gone down drastically. I spent my early career in 70s in the Marxist Calcutta, where I had my first Gherao at the age of 23. Frankly, I was thrilled after that because I lost the meaning of the word fear. after that. Now that on an individual level was an eye opener because I was young, fearless, this Amitabh Bachchan type, angry young man. I can do anything I want. All those things get mellowed down with age and experience. But the fact remains that even that time, we ensured, and because when especially I am addressing this to my fellow students, and I call myself student because I'm still studying, I'm pursuing my second PhD. Uh, we as students have to ensure that we keep that cleanliness in our heart and not don't get influenced by commercial reasons only or expected of us to say. We had to become that voice. We have to speak up. We have to blow the whistle if necessary. And if we do that as a legal profession, there's no better contribution you can make to the industry. I've got 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. I'll just close this in case Amit Bhai or Rekha allows any questions I would like to take in last 2 minutes. Um, a conference like this is a good opportunity not only to hear people, both academicians and practitioners. If you can end a conference like this with one action plan you will do, take out a study, take out a paper, reach industry, reach trade unions, educate people, or something. And if you need assistance from people like us, we will be certainly more than happy to contribute a little bit that we know and we can help. But it must not end. Good conference, lot of number of people attended, very nice way of meeting each other. That is good in one way. But if you can take this as a continuum project for Anand, that would be value add. So Amit Bhai and Jyoti Ben, Rekha, thank you for inviting me. Shalendra, thank you for being here along with me. And to all your students and faculty, this is a changing time, and no better time than when things are just being reshuffled, rehashed, rejigged. This is the time to stand up and be counted as a legal profession because the number of labor laws that have changed, the new codes are coming in, the number of issues that industry is facing, the way it is changing, and the manner in which labor force will be given a deal or not given a deal is going to be something to watch. So I still have 45 seconds to go. So Rekha, over to you, ma'am. And I've kept my time. So over to you, Rekha. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. It was really brainstorming and so many points which really feel that legal committee and legal law members can really put endeavor to contribute for the development of such area. And yes, as you rightly said, that how we can go to a micro level and try to understand what exactly challenges are faced at root level. So definitely, sir, your input we are going to take care and we will come up with the outcomes. Thank you so much.
So as a gesture of gratitude for inviting me, if you do a project and if you want me to uh, uh, be a sponsor or a guide for this project, I'll be more than happy to give my time.
Great, sir. Great, sir. It will be really great, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to invite Mr. Shailendra Sharma, guest of honor for our today's seminar, to grace the occasion with his valuable words.
Thank you, Shivani. Rika, I would first like to thank this Sri Ramakrishna Mission for Sri Ramakrishna Seva Mandal for providing me this opportunity. And I think in most of the perspective related to the legal aspect, I think Mr. Dr. Akhil Murari has already spelled out a lot of issues. Yes, as far as the business community we are concerned, the business community is always there to see that business is surviving. Okay. And in that aspect, not only it is the labor which plays a vital role, but there are many other factors which plays a very critical role in running the business. Yes, nowadays we have seen that Indian industry is more or less more dependent on the raw material import with a low cost or maybe the equipments with a low cost, and that has posed a big challenge for the Indian industry. Unless and until the government come forwards, form certain reforms to again revive the cottage industry and small scale industry, which was badly hit by the COVID-19 because they cannot sustain their profitability, neither they can sustain their business. Yes, there are, I won't take much time but for that, because there are certain actions which has to be initiated not at the government level, but as a part of the society, we each are accountable for it. Yes, legal profession is always a guiding factor in reforming the laws, but simultaneously they are also responsible to have guide the organizations and individuals in having a fair approach. I would definitely would like to see that the first of line, because post COVID to decrease the unemployment ratio, which has really soared to almost 24% in last May 2020. So to revive the industry is the utmost importance. Without reviving the industry, we cannot generate the employment opportunities. We have seen the primary health center situations wherein we were seeing the doctors who are missing because the vacancies lying vacant has been not filled by the governments in time, and that has created a major havoc when we were passing through this COVID phase. The first line of action dealing with these challenges requires providing immediate support of direct income supporting or in kind assistance to poor and displaced workmen who also have disproportionate impacted by the COVID-19 crisis. Such support needs to be combined with the job preservation scheme for formal enterprises to protect the low wage workers. Dr. Burai has already addressed on this fixed term employment. Yes, it is a big threat because uh, if we engage the people on the fixed term employment, they don't have a surety of having an employment in future, because once they are out of the business, they are out. So it is a big challenge for the organizations as a social. I think we need to see that most of the laws we have in India are only protecting the workman category, but we forget that 60% or 40% of the population, between 60 to 40% of the population is falling under the employee category. They are not the workers, they are not the laborers. Yes, we organized and unorganized sector of industries. Unorganized sector was badly hit, as rightly indicated by Dr. Akil also on that. And really, I'm thankful that he has drawn so many attention on legal perspective, which I won't like to repeat and waste time on that. Yes, there are, so the government has to initiate certain measures where we should see that people should have the basic right of primary health to each and every individual or citizen of India. So there are more initiative which has to become as an individual from the government and from the industrial organizations also. Dr. Akil has addressed about the contract labor. The worst part of increasing our domestic gross product cost is imposing GST on the contract labor services, which is having a very severe repercussion on the increased cost of the domestic product. Government has to evaluate of imposing that 18% cost impact of GST on the labor cost. I know that yes, we can very fairly say the overall labor cost in the product is approximately between 6 to 8% of the total revenue. But still, 6 to 8% for a lower segment of the society has a big impact, because the people who are earning a meager income of 5,000, 7,000 rupees cannot afford that 6% hike also. So I think we have seen in the recent past that China has become a major source of raw material, has become a major source of technology transfer, has become a major source of equipments. So we need to see that how we can revive and develop the industries in India so that we can meet these challenges globally. And also it will be helpful us to reduce the cost of domestic gross product. Now, if we see the GDP, the GDP has dropped down to almost 2%. Has ever we expected that? I would say that it is rather unpreparedness on part of each and every front. We could not meet that challenge of COVID-19. And I don't know whether in future also we will be having a very serious concern on that. We have to have the reforms wherein the basic right of health should be provided to each and every citizen of India. Niti Aayog, yes, we used to have a planning commission which used to work on the short term and the long term visions. But I think Niti Aayog has to play a very effective role in reconstructing the entire nation. Because without right path, without right direction, without appropriate reforms, we cannot expect the industries to be boosted. When we are talking of the labor legislations and security, social security systems in India, they are not capable enough to support the workmen or the employees at the bad times. We have seen the ESIC we have been paying the contribution to the ESIC, but the benefits passed on was not that effective. And during the COVID-19, we have seen the ESIC dispensaries was closed. So we have to make an effective infrastructure for the ESIC and primary health center, which has to be revived with the immediate effect to I think to counter any future such challenges which will be posing in future, because this is now we have in the age where the biological weapons are in existence. Biological weapons are a big threat to the human society, and which can be only countered by reviving the basic infrastructure for health. In this entire COVID-19, I think the most important come to the surface is health and hygiene practices of an individuals or maybe in the industry, which was not at all focused. But now with the COVID-19, we are back on the track and we are very much cautious on the health and hygiene factors in the society. I will not take more further time on this subject because I think Dr. Akil has already addressed the legal aspects, and repeating the same thing won't make any big sense for that. And really, I'm thankful to Rekha and all the participants in this event. And if Rekha has any question related to the business segment of the industry, you are most welcome. And I have spared almost, I think, 5 minutes for that.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable knowledge, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rekha.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to invite Mr. Himanbhai J. Patel, Advocate Sir, President, Sri Ramakrishna Seva Mandal Anand for presidential remark.
My greetings to all of you. Honorable Chief Guest Dr. Akil Basurai and Guest of Honor Mr. Sailendra Sharma and other distinguished guests, Honorary Secretary of Sri SRKSM, Srimati Josnaben Patel, Principals of Organizing Bodies, faculty members, and dear participants. The sudden emerge of COVID-19 pandemic is dealing a severe blow to state economy, business, and workers. They have brought a lot of uncertainties and new challenges with them. In this situation, this kind of national e-seminar entitled COVID-19 Impact on Employment and Labor will be very helpful and beneficial to all of us, as it will provide depth of knowledge regarding the topic and its outcome. I appreciate this kind of event in this focus and development and real growth of society as it is done by the researchers. I appreciate the effort of Dr. Amit Kumar Patel, Principal, Anand Law College, and Dr. Rekha Kumari Singh, In-charge Dean, Faculty of Law, Sardar Patel University, and In-charge Principal of Anand College of Legal Studies, and family of both the institutes for conducting this seminar. Lastly, I want to say that the participants not only are the essential part of this seminar, but also an important part of the concept. In concluding, I wish a great success for this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hemant Bhai Patel, sir. Now I would request Dr. Rekha Kumari Singh, ma'am, in charge Dean, Faculty of Law, Sardar Patel University, and in charge Principal of Anand College of Legal Studies, to announce the publication of this book. Over to you, ma'am.
We are very much delighted that already I mentioned in today's objective of seminar that 42 research paper are going to be published in this seminar, which were presented by all the candidate, all the researcher. And this book will be published with the submission of all the guests, as well as it will be submitted to the Law Commission and Government of Gujarat. So with this, I'm congratulating all the participants who have contributed for this research paper, and which is really going to help to the government as well as to the society. So thank you so much to all the delegates.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I would like to invite Mr. Gururaj Devar Hubli sir, Faculty of Anand College of Legal Studies, to offer vote of thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Shivani. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this special occasion. On behalf of Anand Law College and Anand College of Legal Studies, I would like to express my deepest appreciation and profound gratitude towards Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Akhil Busrai sir. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and gracing the event with your presence. And I'm sure your experience in managing human resources has been benefited to the participants. And sir has also mentioned in his speech the need for protecting and reviving the medium and small scale industries. He has also highlighted the problems and challenges faced by them. He has also highlighted the legal challenges faced by employees and the responsibility of the legal fraternity to protect the labor force. He has also mentioned about the role of the legal community as a guardian, and has also encouraged the young researcher to do grassroots level research. The next, I would like to thank the eminent personality of today's guest of honor, Mr. Shailendra Sharma. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and gracing the occasion with your presence. We are highly indebted to you for sharing your thoughts on the role of government and the society in reviving the cottage and small scale industries. Sir has also highlighted the problems of fixed term employment and to understand the problems of not only the labor force but also of the employees. Sir has also mentioned about the necessity of focusing on preventing uh, health crisis such as COVID, and has and in case of such crisis, be prepared for such crisis. He has also mentioned about the revival of basic infrastructure for health and also providing hygienic facilities in industries. Uh, Now I would like to thank Advocate Sri Hemant Bhai J Patel, President of Sri Ramakrishna Seva Mandal, who has been a dynamic leader for showing us the path in law and has always encouraged us to organize events which serve the society. I would like to thank Srimati Josna Ben K Patel, Honorary Secretary of Sri Ramakrishna Seva Mandal. Ma'am has always encouraged us to organize and conduct events for the development of society. I would like to thank Mr. N.B. Prajapati sir, Honorable Director of Anand Law College, for his inspiring mentorship. I would like to thank Dr. Amit Kumar Parmar sir, Principal of Anand Law College, and Dr. Rekha Kumari Singh Madam, in charge Dean Faculty of Law, Sardar Patel University, and in charge Principal, Anand College of Legal Studies, for supporting us through the event. I must also mention my deepest sense of appreciation to all the principals of various colleges managed by Sri Ramakrishna Seva Mandal and invitees for gracing this occasion despite their hectic schedule. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to all the delegates, participants, and attendees for their active participation in this event. I would also like to appreciate the technician for broadcasting this event on social media platforms. And I am also obliged to all the students of Anand Law College and Anand College of Legal Studies for their valuable contribution and continuous support for making this event successful. As no program can become successful with a single person, I extend my big thanks to our Anand Law College and Anand College of Legal, the teaching and non-teaching staff of both the institutes for their support. Thank you everyone for making this inaugural ceremony a success with their contribution and support. And lastly, I would like to convey my heartfelt thanks to the seminar conveners, Ms. Anjana Solanki, Assistant Professor of Law at Anand College of Legal Studies, and Mr. Ranveer Singh Mahida, Assistant Professor of Law at Anand Law College, for organizing this event. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Lastly, I would like to sum up today's session by Swami Vivekananda's famous quote: throw away all weaknesses, tell your body that it is strong, tell your mind that it is strong, and have unbounded faith and hope in yourself. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. First,
Thank you, Rekha. Thank
thank you
you.
so much. Thank you so much, sir. So, first, today's guest will lead the session, and I request all the participants to be there in the session. First, they will leave it, and then we can stop this session. Uh, I think one thing we have not mentioned that technical session will be shared, and accordingly, the like chairperson and co-chairperson will join. I think already they have joined in the session, but I think they have to resume in different link. I think, right?
When the technical sessions link has been forwarded in the group, and they have to join the link after 5 minutes.
So delegates can join in that technical session. Yes, yes. Thank you.
The session will start after 5 minutes. Thank you.
Sir, one thing. Hello.
Yes.
There,
Yes, sir.
there are two sessions are there. In which session we need to enter?
Uh, Sir, we are going to we have already shared. Now it is a joint session. So still you are in the group. This link will be shared again soon. Like within
Okay.
2-3 minutes, you'll receive it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.